Hi everyone. This video is going to be about how to use Grammarly, and then also I'm going to be revising some student work as an example of how to use Grammarly and how to approach revision. If you are on the home page, if you click on Writing Center and Library, there are multiple resources here for your use. Paper Review, 24/7 writing tutoring in Grammarly. Paper Review allows you to submit a paper that you'll get back within 24 hours, sometimes a little bit longer, and it will have feedback on different components of your paper. 24/7 writing tutoring is exactly that. It's a writing tutor that you can meet with in real time. And finally, Grammarly is what I'm going to be showing you here. Grammarly is an automatic tool that will allow you to get immediate feedback about your writing and also allow you to revise it. So if you go into Grammarly, if you haven't used it, you can learn how here, and there are instructions on how to get into the Grammarly system. Once you are there, it'll look like this. So I have copied some text from a student paper. You can copy by highlighting everything and pushing Control-C on your keyboard. And then here you push Control-V, and the text will be evaluated by the Grammarly system. So in this case, this is an assignment in which students are supposed to write a letter to an ancient Greek poet about the poet's conception of love. And they're supposed to point out any inconsistencies or problems with the poet's conception of love related to their own lives, and try to correct the conception of love that's presented by these ancient poets. But what I first want to talk about here is that you can see that there are some issues that Grammarly has identified. You can get more information about what the issue is. So in this case, empty phrases. It's identifying the word clearly as an empty phrase. It might be unnecessary. So for example, like basically they lost because, just say they lost because they didn't bother to practice. Say, instead of saying as a matter of fact, just say I was talking to him this morning. So here, that is one issue. Here we have, it deals with things that happens every day. So you can see that if we expand it, it's the incorrect verb form. So they need a plural verb, and then there are examples here. You wouldn't say, does kids enjoy picnics? You would say, do kids enjoy picnics? And remember, in general and for the most part, singular verbs end in S. All right, so that's definitely an issue, right? Now, some things Grammarly won't find, and other things Grammarly does find might not be applicable depending on the field of study that you're working in. But many times it is right, and you can see here the first two are. All right, so this is a letter to Euripides. Whoops. I-P-I-D-S. Okay, D-E-S. Okay, so, oh, how is it that you captured the love and hatred of a woman who is clearly broken all because of one man? All right, so kind of starting with the question. Now, this is a letter, so it might be okay to ask rhetorical questions and to use these types of devices. But this sentence is kind of unclear. And the O portion is strange. Maybe get rid of the first sentence. What is it that drove you to write Medea? Which is the play we'll be talking about here. Now here, I would want to italicize this. I don't believe that it's letting me italicize. All right, so if you don't know, Medea is a story um, about a woman. Her husband, Jason, leaves her for another woman, and she decides to kill, spoiler alert, she decides to kill her two sons instead of going into exile. She also kills her husband's future wife and her future, her husband's future wife's father. So it ends, it's really gnarly. All right, what is it that drove you to write Medea? I loved how you portrayed this play because it deals with things that you can see happen every day, not happens, and with whom people want to ignore such situations. All right, let's isolate this. This sentence is unclear. I loved how you, if you're going to ask, what is it that drove you to write Medea? It's kind of strange to say, I loved how you portrayed it. Like, why would you write such a crazy thing? I loved it. All right, what is it that drove you to write Medea? And it seems like maybe we don't even need the questions, right? And in general, we do want to avoid asking rhetorical questions. Dear Euripides, how you portrayed this play. Well, he's not portraying the play, he's portraying the characters and the elements in the play. So I loved your play, Medea. You portrayed everyday situations that many people want to ignore. How you portrayed this play because it deals with things that happen every day and with whom people want to ignore such situations. I loved your play, Medea. You portrayed everyday situations that many people want to ignore. All right, so that seems to be more clear. And one thing that you can see here, I think, is that the student is writing in this like really formal way. And I think students often write as they think like poets would want to hear it, or they write like they think their instructors want to hear it, or they write like they try to write outside of the time that they're born in. Like they try to go back to some old English style or something. And just don't do that. Just write what you think. Use the normal language of the day that you're in, and be as clear as possible. No one wants to see or admit that cheating is going on, as well as depression, and so many other feelings that go along with it can go unnoticed. All right, so Jason cheats on his wife, or he's going to leave her for another woman. No one wants to admit that cheating is going on, as well as depression. So things like cheating and depression and so many other feelings that go along with it can go unnoticed. Things like cheating and depression often go unnoticed. And you can see that the student here has written, 1, 2, 3, 4, like about 30 words or 20 words, where you can systematize it and shrink it and make it much more clear. How do you see love for yourself? Well, the student's supposed to be answering that in the paper. And I know you don't know the prompt, so I won't get into that too much. But you can see here, the student includes 3 rhetorical questions. Do you find that you want to cheat and love another, or do you find yourself making sure that you do all you can to keep your love because of things you have seen? Let's get rid of these. I'd have to relate back to the prompt here, and that's not the point of this video. I honestly believe that if you are with someone, that you are with them for life, and that if you find yourself grown apart, then you should call it quits. How does this relate to the sentence above? Things like cheating and depression often go unnoticed. And you can see a transition here that doesn't make a lot of sense structurally. We need to like explain more here. Why do cheating and depression often go unnoticed? How has Euripides shown us that they shouldn't go unnoticed? So I won't go into speculating on what the student should do there, but they definitely need to explain more. And before they get into this section on their own belief. So here, they need to explain more about their conceptions of cheating and depression. They need to relate it back to Euripides, and then they can get into their own point. So they can say, you know, in contrast to your ideas about love, and again, we don't need honestly. I hope that you're being honest with me. If you're not, then okay, doesn't make any sense. I believe that if you are with someone, okay, notice this as well, with someone. If you are with someone, what does this mean? Does it mean you love them? Does it mean sexually? Does it mean you're married? Answer that question more clearly. Remember that being specific is the best way to write. Specific is terrific. So instead of, I believe that if you're with someone, you say, I believe that if you are married to someone, or just married, I believe, in contrast to your ideas about love, I believe that if you are married, then you should maintain that pact, not the best word, maintain that relationship forever. That reminds me of the episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm where his wife wants to say renew their vows, and she wants to say something like, and we've been together forever on earth, and then we'll be together forever in the afterlife. Larry David doesn't want to say that part because he thinks, yeah, it's good that we were together on earth, and then like we'll see what happens later in the afterlife. I mean, that's a long time. And I'm laughing at myself here because I said then you should maintain that relationship forever. Maybe you could say for as long as you live. All right. I wish that the play didn't have such a horrible outcome. All right, so again, we're starting a new paragraph, a new idea. So this portion would need to be expanded out. So I would say like, why do you believe this? Is there any external support that you could bring in to verify your claim? And most of us would say, yeah. I mean, if you're in a traditional type of marriage, not necessarily male and female, but traditional in the sense of together forever, cheating is not an option, or not something that would be supported by both people. You know, most people would agree with that. But, you know, it does need to be expanded. I wish that the play didn't have such a horrible outcome. Ending maybe is better. Not a huge deal. And then students are supposed to use quotes here. So let's see how the quote goes. And then I will end the video. It's been a while, pretty long video. But you see here, it takes time to revise things, right? And if you're not putting in the time, your writing is not going to be as good. I wish the play didn't have such a horrible ending. And then we immediately go into this quote. You abomination, you vilest, most hateful woman, to the gods and to me and to the whole human race. You had the heart to take the sword to your own children, to whom you gave birth. And you have left me childless and devastated. All right, so here we can ignore the comment because this is a direct quote from a source. By the way, periods go at the end in APA. All right, but notice, we go from the play had a horrible ending to this quote. We don't even know who's saying this, right? I do, it's Jason. but you need to let your reader know who is saying the quote. You need to like orient your reader to where you're going. So you could say, after Medea, after finding out his children are dead, Jason Jason says, or something like that. There's a better way to transition here, but after finding out his children are dead and have been killed by their mother, Jason confronts Medea. All right, something like that. After finding out his children are dead and have been killed by their mother. Okay, it says passive voice. You could change that. And that Medea has killed them. Jason confronts her. You abomination, you vilest, most hateful woman. But here again, let's just end with this. I wish the play didn't have such a horrible ending. If you were trying to orient your reader who might not have ever read this play, you would say, Jason leaves his wife and children, and in her rage, Medea decides to take revenge. Better word, exact. To exact revenge by murdering her own sons and Jason's future family, essentially. It says not to use own. I'm going to use it. I like it. I wish that the play didn't have such a horrible ending. Now we're orienting our reader. Jason leaves his wife and children, and in her rage, Medea decides to exact revenge by murdering her own sons and Jason's future family. Now we can get into the quote from Jason that relates back to what a vile woman Medea is, right? And I'm not saying she's vile. She did kill her kids, but I think there's an argument to be made in support of Medea. Okay, so as a recap, what have we learned? If you go to the Writing Center Library from the homepage, you have multiple writing resources that you can use. I just showed you how to use Grammarly. When you go into Grammarly, you can paste your text, and then when you're done with it, all you have to do is copy it like this, Control-C, and paste it back into your document. Another thing is, if you go back to your home page in My Grammarly, all the documents that you submit will be saved there. So this is another important feature, that you will not lose it unless you click that delete button. Don't do that, because it doesn't, I don't even think it asks you for if you want to verify it. If you want to come back to it, you just click on it again, you're taken back in, and you can continue working. So please use Grammarly, please use the writing resources that we provide for you, and continue to think about how to revise your writing and put in the time and effort to successfully become a better writer and to express your ideas more clearly.